Many believers think their decisions are guided by God, but there is a silent mistake that has destroyed countless Christian lives. And the frightening part is this: most people believe they are doing the right thing, pause, until the consequences appear. Let me ask you something honestly. What if some of the decisions you feel most confident about are the very decision pulling you away from God? What if what feels right today could quietly destroy your future tomorrow? Stay with me, because the Bible gives a warning that many believers ignore. One of the greatest dangers in the Christian life is this: trust our own understanding more than God's wisdom. Human reasoning is powerful, education is powerful, experience is powerful, but none of those things are perfect. And when people begin to trust their own judgment about God's direction, something dangerous begins to happen. They start making decisions that feel right, but are not right in the eyes of God. This is exactly why the scripture says, "There is a way that seems right to a man, but its end is the way of death." Proverbs 14 verse 12. Notice something important. The verse does not say the path looks evil. It says the path seems right. That is what makes it dangerous. The most dangerous mistakes in life rarely appear wrong in the beginning. They appear logical, they appear reasonable, they appear safe, but they quietly lead away from God. Let's look at how this happens in everyday life. Because this problem is not theoretical, it happens in real decisions. One of the most common areas where believers follow their own judgment is relationship. Someone meets a person who makes them happy. Everything feels right. The emotions are strong. The connection feels deep. But they ignore the spiritual warning signs. They ignore biblical guidance. Instead of seeking God's direction, they follow their feelings. Later, the relationship becomes a source of pain, conflict, or spiritual compromise. What seemed right in the beginning begins to reveal its consequences. Another place this happens is career decisions. Success is not wrong, work is not wrong, education is not wrong, but sometimes people pursue opportunities that slowly pull them away from God's purpose. The job may pay well, the opportunity may look impressive, but little by little, prayer becomes rare, church becomes occasional, and spiritual focus begins to fade. The decision seemed wise, but spiritually, it was costly. Sometimes, the pressure does not come from inside us. It comes from people around us. Friends may say, "Everyone is doing it. Don't be too serious. You are overthinking it." Little by little, believers begin adjusting their standard to match their culture around them. But the problem is this: the world's standard is not God's standard. And when people begin following the crowd instead of Scripture, they slowly walk onto a path that seems right, but it's spiritually dangerous. The Bible does not leave us without guidance. It gives a clear instruction. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. Proverbs chapter 3 verse 5 to 6. That verse is extremely important. It tells us something simple but powerful. Our own understanding cannot always be trusted. Why? Because human heart is not perfectly reliable. Scripture explains this clearly. The heart is deceitful above all things. Jeremiah chapter 17 verse 9. This does not mean people are incapable of good decisions, but it does mean something very important. Without God's guidance, our judgment can easily become distorted. Feelings can mislead us, pride can blind us, pressure from others can influence us. That is why believers must learn to seek God's wisdom before making important decisions. When people repeatedly ignore God's direction, the consequences do not always appear immediately. Sometimes the result comes slowly. At first, everything seems normal, but over time, something begins to change. Spiritual sensitivity becomes weaker, prayer becomes less frequent, the voice of conviction becomes quieter, and eventually the person realizes they have drifted far from where God wanted them to be. The danger was never obvious. That is why the warning in Proverbs is so serious. A path can look completely safe while quietly leading in the wrong direction. This is why believers must remain spiritually alert. Not every opportunity is God's will. Not every door that opens meant to be walked through. Discernment is essential. But here is the good news. God is not looking for perfect people. He's looking for humble hearts. If someone realizes they have been relying on their own understanding, the solution is simple. Return to God. Ask for wisdom. Seek His direction again. The Bible promises that God gives wisdom to those who ask. He does not abandon those who sincerely seek Him. Sometimes the greatest turning point in a person's life happens the moment they stop trusting themselves and begin trusting God completely. So take a moment and think about your life honestly. Is there a decision you are holding tightly without bringing it fully before God? Is there a direction that feels right but you have never truly prayed about? The warning in Book of Proverbs, chapter 14, verse 12, is not meant to frighten believers. It is meant to guide them, because God desires to protect His people from paths that lead to destruction. And when we seek His wisdom, He leads us in the way that brings life. If this message spoke to you today, take a moment and respond. Write in the comment, "I will seek God's wisdom." Your response might encourage someone else who needs this reminder. And if you know someone who is facing an important decision, share this message with them, because sometimes a simple reminder of God's truth can change the direction of a life.